The SOS, Support Public Broadcasting Coalition, Media Monitoring Africa and the South African National Editors Forum say the SABC bill is being pushed through but does not adequately address the funding crisis at the organisation. The bill currently gives the Communications Minister 3 years to develop a funding framework for the public broadcaster.
A funding framework is not a funding model. So that means in 3 years, there's going to be a funding framework that they come up with, and then it will take them, I don't know how many years to actually develop a funding model from that framework. And we know in the communication sector that they change ministers almost every year. So that actually just means that the SABC might not even get to have that funding model or framework, whatever that they're proposing, because ministers will just keep changing and no one will actually sit and finalize.
Siotula says the role of the SABC as a public broadcaster is vital to South Africa.
The SABC is such an important institution that actually aids in deepening our democracy. So government should actually invest in ensuring that the SABC is well funded, right? Because we understand the importance of information and the role that it actually plays in uniting the nation and building that social cohesion. So the fact that the SABC is actually at this state, as a result of some of the issues that government has actually failed to do.
The Public Media Alliance, the largest global association of public media organizations, provides advocacy, support and knowledge exchange for public media around the world.
It's a media form that is, if funded by the public, is accountable to the public, and that's in its ideal form. So an organization that's bound by a set of values and funded by the public means that you are getting something that's impartial, something that's universally available, something that it has trusted investigative journalism, editorially independent, and so on.
Porter says with public broadcasting, there are a range of ways to fund the organization, be it taxes, license fees, advertising, and with this, there will always be some sort of threat of interference. But he says as long as the broadcaster is independent and holding power to account, it is doing its job. To ensure this, it needs to be protected by regulation and legislation.
That legislation is absolutely crucial to make sure that the government just can't suddenly interfere with it. Now, there's usually always a loophole, a way in, no matter how small, and that's something that's got to be looked at, I think, and also looked at by the management of the public broadcaster as well. So there needs to be a respect there. But I think also what's really important is that the public are there to defend it as well. So the public broadcaster needs to keep the public on side to make sure that the government know, of whatever country we're talking about here, that the government know that in interfering with a public broadcaster, they are interfering with democracy.
The SABC currently has a mixed funding model which includes a license fee. Siotula says the bill in its current form continues to subject the SABC to TV licensing, which has not been sustainable. She has urged the committee to first wait for the finalization of the Audio and Audiovisual Media Services and Online Content Safety White Paper, which is also currently being dealt with, saying only once this is finalized can further discussions around the SABC funding model continue. The committee will meet on Tuesday to deal with the matter. Abra Bobia, SABC News, Parliament.